Today we're going to look at 5 strollers that are either astronomically overpriced, endorsed by celebrities, or built in collaboration with big-name fashion and design brands that have somehow managed to trick people into thinking they're something to be desired, despite the fact that they're actually quite subpar in relation both to their performance and/or longevity, meaning purchase is likely to be regretted even by those who seemingly have nothing better to do with their money. And moving from bad to worse, we begin with the Silvercross Balmoral, which runs from $3,300 for the basic model all the way up to $61,000 if you want it gold-plated. I must admit, having had the fun of renovating a few vintage Silvercross strollers has given me a bit of a soft spot for models like the Balmoral. But while it is unquestionably sturdy and terrain-capable, it's unfortunately also not a practical stroller in any way. The Balmoral is an absolute tank, heavy, hard to maneuver, and huge, both in terms of storage as well as hogging up the sidewalk. Does it look good? Sure, of course, as an art piece. But unless you live in a palace and have servants to help cart it up and down the stairs, it will do little more for you than make for a nice picnic background in the front yard. I've placed the Balmoral first in this video, not because it's the most usable stroller we'll be looking at today, in fact it's the least, but rather because it's the most obvious as far as what you're getting up front. If you buy the Balmoral, you most likely know that it's not worth the money, at least as far as the practical realities of using a stroller are concerned. Rather, you're here to play dress up, and there's nothing really wrong with that. Next up is the Mimazari, whose most expensive color combination at the moment, the Moscow Camel, clocks in at right under $2,000. And the Zari is here today because despite being an eye-catcher, there are enough dissatisfied customer reviews out there for it to be judged as providing clearly subpar use value, and that it's quite large and heavy to drive, a result of the structural reinforcement needed to pull off the model's unique shape. It's not very terrain capable, it's cumbersome and bulky to handle when folded, the seat dimensions are very small, and there have also been several customer reports of squeaking, looseness, swivel problems, and connection issues related to the seat, bassinet, and use with a car seat. The Zari manages to fool a lot of people with its celebrity endorsements and borderline acceptable price, at least for what it seems to be, namely a luxury model. But regular people beware, this is not a stroller that will fulfill your real-world needs, and it won't look all that good either after its shiny bars and faux leather get scratched and scuffed through real-world use. Next up and coming in third, we return to Silvercross with the Aston Martin edition of the Surf, released 3 times now in limited numbers and sold at around $4,000 versus only $850 for the regular model with the car seat. And the problem here lies with the stroller itself, which, while not the worst mid-size model out there, is definitely not the best either, with a seat on the small end, a fiddly brake and folding system, swivel wheels that often develop problems over time, and a uselessly small and frustrating to access shopping basket, all of which are characteristics that don't get fixed just by slapping on those flashy Aston Martin details. The Aston Martin Surf also only comes with a 12-month warranty versus 3 years on the Balmoral, which is scandalous to me given the price. And using the Aston Martin branding isn't even exclusive to these limited Surf models either. They're milking it with basic umbrella strollers as well. So, even if you are the sort of person who doesn't mind buying stuff just to show off, this one isn't worth it. The model itself just doesn't deliver the performance or longevity to deserve getting pimped out this way. And getting it really just means winding up with a stroller that you spent too much on not to use, even when it fails to fulfill your needs. Fourth up is the Orbit Baby, priced from roughly $1,500 to $2,000, depending on what you get it with, and which I really just can't believe has made it to its 5th iteration. We had the Orbit in a couple of times, and while I'll admit it is a unique looking stroller, the whole design is ill-conceived in my opinion. The main idea of the Orbit was originally to just create a sort of car seat caddy, where the seat could swivel 360 degrees, yet was lockable at several points along its rotation, just in case your kid wants to sit sideways as you stroll. Nifty, I suppose, but utterly useless, and yet the whole chassis has been built to facilitate this concept, creating a stroller that, while sturdy, is very big and heavy, with a small size seat, minimal suspension, and a wagon-style handle, creating a structural weak point that has had to be heavily reinforced to hold up, and which also makes the Orbit unpleasant to tip. In the early days, before the company was sold a few times, had troubles with Consumers Report, and landed as a DTC brand, the Orbit found some popularity due to celebrity endorsement and TV product placement. It looks sort of like a moon rover, so I get why people might want to be seen with it. But despite a few slight improvements, the main concept of the model is still flawed in my opinion, so much so that it's placed second to worst here, as a strange monstrosity that somehow tricked people into thinking it's a luxury model for going on 20 years since first launch. And last up then, in top place as the greatest scam of them all, is not a single model, but any collaboration between Italian fashion powerhouses, Versace, Dior, Fendi, and probably others as well if you keep digging, and mid to low-end stroller manufacturers, in order to charge you the moon for prints and logos on subpar models that fail to even register as well-made strollers versus the upper end of the market on their own. The Inglesina Aptica and Peg Perego book are $400 mid-sized models. They're cheap and uninspired, with poor performance and longevity reflecting this price class. And the idea of throwing Fendi, Dior, or Versace fabrics on them and charging thousands upon thousands of dollars is highway robbery. And this goes for all the rest of their models as well that have been collaborated on in this way, and other low-end manufacturers like Malman too. It's all ridiculous, completely out of touch with reality. And in my opinion, once these designers cross over to team up with manufacturers of an entirely different product, they should be harshly judged in the public eye for the resultant scam as well. If for no other reason, then because the effect of this obfuscates manufacturing quality in the stroller industry as a whole, by providing a seemingly legitimate reason for charging sky-high prices on poorly performing models that causes them to be judged as premium strollers seemingly comparable to, or even better than, other brands priced high for their technical merits. In any case, we hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, we ask that you subscribe, as it helps us continue making videos in the future. In addition, if you are currently shopping for a stroller, we have a buyer's guide on our Patreon page which lists a wide range of models that we're well acquainted with from the workshop and that we recommend. You can find it by following the link in the description. Thank you.